So let's get started with the Women's Royal Rumble. Um, this, I believe, lasted quite long. It was a pretty long match. Went over well over an hour, and the winner of this match was Liv Morgan. Um, Before I even get into the the match itself, I got to make mention of this because I've said this before, and it kind of irks me that I got to keep saying it. But the thing is, it's now proven. Like we've seen it, and we saw it on Royal Rumble this past weekend. Women's wrestling in Saudi Arabia has not grown or improved as much as they make us think that it has improved. Okay, I'm not talking about in-ring product. I'm talking about the reception that the people in Saudi give the women. It's it, you can find my video on this. I think I put this up a couple weeks ago when they were um, starting the road to the Royal Rumble, and I disclosed my displeasure about the fact that Saudi Arabia, still treats women as they're like, you know, um, they're secondary. They're secondary to the show. They're not equals. And of course, it doesn't help when you see women come out and they're all dressed head to toe because they cannot show their skin. They cannot show any bits of skin. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. And I'm from a fan standpoint who's watching this. I don't really care where you go. Okay, I don't care. Like you go to the Middle East, you go to. I don't care where you're going. I don't care where you're on tour. This is a TV show. Okay, and when you decide to go somewhere where clearly they haven't advanced as much as a lot of other places have in terms of um, how they view certain members of society. You decide to go there, you decide to put this show together, and what it does is it's an insult to the women. It's a slap in the face to the women because they've done all this work in the States, traveling show to show, building their character up, building their storylines up, and becoming these names. And then all of a sudden, you go to a place like Saudi, and it's kind of meaningless because they're not seen in the same way. That impacts the way that the fan, you and I, see it on screen. And I think I can't remember who exactly said this. One of the wrestling commentators, I was listening to a podcast, and they mentioned that when you're wrestling, you know, you're working for the camera. Like you're not. Yes, we're in a live venue, and it helps with performance. But quite frankly, wrestling itself, when we're performing, and it's a show, and it's being filmed, we perform for the people at home. We perform for the camera. We do not perform for the people in the arena. So when in doubt, if something goes wrong in the arena, you gotta stay focused on what's happening in the ring, the match, whatever it is, the promo, because it's for the viewer watching at home. I don't know if they keep doing that now. It doesn't seem like it's the same. I know things have obviously changed, but quite frankly, for the most part, they focus most on what the viewer at home is seeing, because that's usually their biggest audience, you know. And it just feels like this is not getting any better for the women. Sure, they make the best out of it, but uh, you know, there were some notably loud reactions that they gave. Rhea Ripley was one. Rhea Ripley's over everywhere you go. She's a star. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, of course, Liv Morgan, Sol Ruka, the Bella Twins. They got a big pop, returning Brie Bella, Roxanne Perez. There was lots of um, moments in that match. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I think that the people of Saudi Arabia hate women, because that's the kind of discourse we've been seeing on Twitter. Is that people are saying that Saudi hates women. If they really did hate women, then you wouldn't have seen these pops. You wouldn't have seen these reactions. If anything, they would be booing. Now they did boo a couple of different talent on this show. Now that's kind of what I wanted to make mention of. So Lash Legend was apparently told by the fans that she's overrated. This was in Saudi, so they were chanting at her because I believe she was eliminating people left, right, center, and I guess the fans didn't like it. And here's the thing, right? You can sit there and say, well, that's heat. Being told you're overrated by the fans. It's not the kind of heat you want. That's not genuine heel heat. That's get off my TV heat. That's a different kind of heat. Now one can speculate why that is. If it's me, you know, she's kind of she still has ways to go. Like she's not. I don't think she's like she's not fully ready to be in any kind of main event spot. She's not ready in that respect. She's got work to do. I'm not really sure how good she's on the mic because I haven't really watched a lot of her mic work. I don't, I'm not. I don't watch NXT a whole lot, so I haven't really seen her there. But on the main roster, I mean, I know she's got to do work in the ring. She's sort of like Jade Cargill because they're improving, but there's still ways to go. And a lot of other people were saying, well, they're chanting overrated because Saudi doesn't like women, and they definitely do not like black women or African American women. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that that couldn't be a possibility. It could. And, there's also, I mean, Bianca Belair was slated to return at the Rumble, and she wasn't here. And I'm sitting here thinking in my head, like, how long does it take to heal a finger? Because her finger is the injury that's been holding her up. And I'm sure she must be healed by now, unless something else came up. But like, what else is holding her back from coming back? Like what else could have held you back from coming back in the Royal Rumble? Because that's where the returns. Like, if we're talking about, like, if she's coming back for WrestleMania, which I believe she is, like, this was the best time to bring her back. But they didn't do it. So I'm sitting here thinking that, Saudi Arabia, it's a different culture, and they don't necessarily see everything the way that us Americans do and us here in the West. They have their preferences. I'm not going to say that they didn't cheer the women. There was a lot of women that they did enjoy, but to them, the way that they're treating the female talent it's not unique to them. It's not like it's out of bounds for them. It's not. For them, it's not. I mean, how many women did you see in the crowd? I mean, I think I saw maybe a handful, not a whole lot, but some here or there. I saw some children, some girls, little girls with their families. But that's the situation. So let's get into the actual match here. Overall, I thought the match itself was pretty well put together. I mean, I liked the combination of main roster talent and NXT talent, and I noticed there was a lot of alliances within this Rumble. I mean, we had gone through all 30 competitors, and then at the end we still had a lot of teams that were still intact. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Kabuki Warriors, the Bella Twins, Judgment Day. So a lot of factions, a lot of teams, tag teams were in this. Even Rhea and Io, almost up to the end. And I was wondering, like, who's going to turn on who first, because that usually will determine the kind of storyline they want to play out after the Royal Rumble. So we had a lot of breakout appearances. Sol Ruka, she was the top 3. With Tiffany Stratton came back at number 30. Right, as I said, Brie Bella came back, and the ovation was loud. Like, it wasn't like people have their opinions on the Bella Twins, and they don't necessarily see them in a way where, how people say that they transcended the women's evolution back in early the 2010s. I think it's 2014, was it? And of course that's not true, at least not 100% true. But the ovation she got was pretty massive. And I think the people were chanting yes, doing the Daniel Bryan chant, right? Because that's who they remember as when they think of Brie, they think of Daniel Bryan. So, as I said, now Lash Legend, she did have an impressive showing. She eliminated the Bella Twins. She eliminated Flair. She eliminated Io Sky, and the elimination of Io Sky could set up Lash Legend and Nia Jax to challenge for the tag team championships, which it could very well happen. Elsewhere in the match, we had Charlotte and Alexa. They were the first 2 Rumble entrants, and they avoided confrontation until Flair accidentally eliminated Bliss midway through the match. This was a little weird. I mean, the way they started this match was kind of like, I understand what they're doing, but like, it's Royal Rumble. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that, like, we know this is going to blow over before the end of the night. Like, unless you're both eliminated by somebody else, right? So I can understand, like, them not wanting to, I guess, get into conflict with each other, but it's kind of, I don't know, man. It seems kind of pathetic to me. Like, this is the only time of the year where you don't have friends, and you're kicking it off. I mean, we saw this. Didn't we see this with Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso? We saw this at one point. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, you guys could be brothers, you guys could be sisters, you guys could be tag team partners, but like, in the interest of competition, let's get this going. Let's not do this, wasting 2 minutes of time just to wait for the next entrance to come out. Like, let's get at it. You know what I'm saying? The fans know this already. You don't have to, like, sit there and play this game of, like, avoiding confrontation. So I didn't really like that. It wasn't really my cup of tea to see that. We saw the Kabuki Warriors. There was tension between them because Kairi accidentally eliminated Asuka, and this was with Io Sky. You could actually see Io, like, she was still very much hesitant or upset, or just kind of like, when it comes to the Kabuki Warriors, there's a lot of history with them, and so Io was, I wouldn't say necessarily upset, but she was hesitant because she was like, I wish you guys wouldn't fight, but you guys keep fighting, and that's why I'm no longer with you guys. And I think we could see something where Kairi faces Asuka perhaps at WrestleMania. This was a great planting of the seed, if you will, for this kind of matchup. So overall, I thought we had some great showings. I thought we had some great storytelling within the match itself, and it seems like Liv Morgan, being that she is the one who, I believe she had also eliminated, I think it was Raquel. We could see some tension between the Judgment Day, but I feel like this could also be the start of her moving away from the Judgment Day And of course, Dom Mysterio is not back yet, but there could be an alliance with those two, and they could separate. But it's going to be interesting to see because on Raw, when we watch Raw, to see what happens with the Judgment Day. Do they support Liv? I have a feeling that they're gonna play it off as like, oh, it was the Royal Rumble, every woman for themselves, so it's all good, right? But there's gonna be tension. There's gonna be tension, and it's going to be a slow build, and we're gonna see it explode eventually. So I'll be looking forward to see, like, do they carry this into WrestleMania? And I believe the women's world champion right now is Stephanie Vaquer, and so Liv is on Raw, so it could be her again. The title could change beforehand. SmackDown champion is Jade Cargill. I'm not sure if Liv will be going for the WWE title, but like if they decide to split the Judgment Day, then maybe they transfer Liv to SmackDown instead. Maybe they do a shuffle of the roster. But overall, I thought the match was great. Tiffany Stratton is back, and seeing her, is going to add some more interest on SmackDown because they need some more, women on that show for 3 hours, and putting her back in the title picture is probably where she's going to be. Former champion Bianca hasn't been seen since suffering the hand injury last year, and her potential return could set up a challenge with Jade Cargill. So that is what they're apparently leading towards. And again, as I said this before, I was thinking like she'd be here for the Rumble because that's I was thinking like that's where you have her win and challenge Jade. But for whatever reason, she wasn't here. Maybe she shows up on SmackDown next week. We're officially on the road to WrestleMania, so we'll see how that works out. But overall, Liv Morgan wins the Rumble. My pick was Bianca Belair, but second pick was going to be Liv. So Liv wins, and I think this was probably the better Royal Rumble match of the night.